What is up, everybody? Sorry I'm a little sweaty, just got back from mountain biking, but in this video, the install of the clear clutch cover kit that you can find on Moto Million. This kit uses a Ducati clear clutch cover and then some Ducati bike parts, and man, does it look good. I know it's been a while since I've posted a video, but without further ado, let's get into it. I also wanted to say that this is not a step-by-step instructional video. This will just be kind of showing my process and anything I ran into. I'll try to point out some tips and tricks, but there's plenty of videos. I'll link those down below. I know Jarrett Campisi, that video is really good. It's really in depth. It goes through the entire install. Probably one of the best videos for how to do this on YouTube. So go check that video out if you're going to tackle this project. And really, this is just sort of kind of documenting my process and showing you the end result of the bike. It's a little not as I think Jarrett does his at a Ducati dealership. Obviously, I'm in my garage, so it's but it still gets the job done, and the bike looks great. And it does make a mess because you will lose a little bit of oil, so I'd recommend putting a rag down. That's been there for about a week now. Eventually I'll clean that up. Anyway, just wanted to let you know this is not a step-by-step instructional video. For that, go elsewhere, but this will kind of tell you the basics, all that this entails. So thank you and enjoy the video. And so it starts. We're going to be taking off this clutch cover and all the things that are in the way, and then we'll be installing a clear clutch cover kit, and hopefully everything goes smoothly and I don't need to buy any parts or break anything. But so what we have here is the clear clutch cover kit from Moto Million. I'll put a link in the description below. And then the bolts for the clutch cover are all one-time use only. So you'll need to buy 15 of these smaller bolts. And here is the Ducati part number. Sorry, the glare there is pretty bad. There we go. So 15 of that part number. You can buy it. You can buy this on a Ducati parts website. And then 3 of these, which is that part number. They're just slightly longer bolts. And then outside of that, you have the clutch cover itself, which is in this packaging. The actual window. You can kind of see it down there. The window, and then optional, but if you're going to do a clear clutch cover kit, you kind of have to show off the clutch itself. So you can do a pressure plate and pressure plate ring, and those are optional accessories you can buy at Moto Million. But I highly recommend it because you will see that clutch spinning once you put the clear clutch cover on, and if you just leave the stock one on, it's going to look kind of boring. So yeah, hopefully it goes smoothly. Really just this whole thing comes off and it's pretty much exposed, so I don't think it's going to be too bad. This might get in the way, but I think you could figure something out. Shouldn't be that bad. But yeah, hopefully it goes smoothly and I don't run into any issues, but I'll let you know. Well, I finally got the clutch cover off, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a little bit of a pain. So there's really good videos online that show how to do this, except there's 2 bolts that nobody tells you about in the videos. So yes, you do have the 18 bolts that go around the clutch cover. So there's 15 smaller ones and 3 longer ones. But then you also have 2 bolts that go in here, here and here. So you got to make sure you take those off as well, or loosen them, and they'll stay in the case when you take them off. But I think you have to transfer them over to the new case. I haven't checked it yet. But after that, it comes off. Obviously, you got to take all the panels off. So do all the panels first, then tackle the side cover or clutch cover. But yeah, that's pretty trick. So this is the inside of a Ducati Desmo Sedici Stradale V4 engine. Get your clutch pack and your clutch assembly here. Communicator there. That uses this little position sensor. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I got a new clutch or pressure plate and pressure plate ring. So when we put the new clear clutch cover over on it, you'll be able to see a nice, cool design. It'll look cooler, less boring than this, but it's pretty cool. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean off the surface, get rid of any old gasket, make sure all the dowels are in there where they're supposed to be, and then put a new thin layer of gasket maker on, and put the new clutch cover on, which will be pretty fun. Hopefully I don't mess anything up during that process, but so far pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Lots of things you gotta remove, but it's like Legos, it's not that bad. And I'll check back in once we have the new cover on and almost ready to start it. So I just finished cleaning up the surfaces on the engine side. And here's the clutch cover side by side. So you can see this one has the clutch open and you'll put a window there. And this one over here, it's just one big engine cover. And there's these two bolts that nobody tells you about, one right here and one right here, you have to take off. But they do not transfer over to the new cover. This one's blocked off, there's nothing there. And then obviously there's no second hole there. But this is a lot slimmer, so it's gonna be a lot easier to get this on, I think, than this. This is a lot taller, so I'm gonna go ahead and use some RTV, put a thin layer around the engine, and then slide this thing back on, and then use the new hardware to torque it down and everything. Oh, one last thing before I go. I recommend marking each bolt with where the longer bolt hole goes. So I got the longer ones there, and there. I just marked it on the stock cover so that I know where the longer bolts go on the new cover. Just a little tip. All right, so this is the finished product. Finally got it all buttoned up. That looks really good. The kit does not include bolts that go from the clutch cover to the new engine cover. So I reused some of the old engine cover bolts, and I just was really careful. There's an O-ring that seals between this and the engine cover, so I'm letting the O-ring do all the work. And you just want to snug these up because these are aluminum, and you can just tell that you can over torque these and break these off pretty easily. And I'm not going to test one to find out, so just snug them, make sure it's nice and sealed, yeah, don't over torque these if you're going to reuse the engine bolts. Or you can buy an additional 5 engine bolts, so 5 small engine bolts. I would say buy 20 of the small ones and 3 of the longer ones. The only thing you got to watch out for is on the stock bolt, the 2 bolts that are right here and right here, and then you might need to pick up 5 extra bolts for this clutch cover. But other than that, it's pretty much just remove it and put the new one on. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Came out pretty good. Still got to put the rest of the panels back on, button everything back up, and then I can start her up. Make sure she works. So yeah. Well, it's been a couple days since I've installed the clear clutch cover. I put the bike back together, took it for a couple test drives, made sure it didn't leak. Just kept on checking the gasket and the clear clutch cover window thing. Made sure there's no leaks. It hasn't been leaking at all, which is really good. It has a slightly different clutch feel with the new pressure plate and pressure plate ring. I don't know if it's, I don't know, maybe it's a placebo effect, but I feel like it does feel slightly weightier. Like there's less like chatter when you're using the clutch. I don't know, and it just looks amazing. Like, look at that thing. That just looks so cool. Did make a little bit of a mess. Finally burnt off all the oil. It kind of dripped on the exhaust, but that's just stainless. A little dirty. I need to clean this thing. But it's been running really good. Here, I'll try to get a good video of it spinning. Yeah. Oh, it looks so cool. I really liked the dry clutch, but that's like a $3,000 just in parts. This was, I think, altogether like around 900 bucks. I know it was like around 830-ish for the clutch. 30, I think the window here. This was, I can't remember. You know what I'll do? I'll tally it up, and this was and here's the price. I'll use the receipts and whatever. But I'll also post a link to all the parts in the description below. That way, if you want to do this on your Ducati, you can go pick up the parts you need. I'll even include the quantities for the bolts and the part numbers for the bolts and screws. Screws, I think it's the technical term. In the package, it says screws. Anyway, you'll need new screws. I reused the old ones for this part. But like I said, I would recommend buying new ones. You don't really need to torque these down because you have an O-ring in there, so you want to let the O-ring do the work. But it would be nice to have new ones. Maybe I can find black ones one day and I'll swap that out for black ones. But for now it works. But I'll put all the part numbers down in the description below. I think the total time it takes, probably I'd give it like 2 to 3 hours to do the whole thing. That way you don't rush anything. So you want to set aside about 2 to 3 hours to do it. That way you can just make sure you do it properly. And honestly, it's more difficult to take everything apart, all the fairings, like this whole thing. What I recommend is take all these fairings apart, give you as much access as possible. That takes the longest time. Pulling the cover off and putting it on doesn't take that long at all. It's just getting all the parts off. So but yeah, oh dude, this thing is looking really good. And the weather has been amazing here in Florida, so I'll be able to start riding the bike more often again. It's been a really weird time for weather in Florida. It was like really wet, really rainy, like hurricanes back to back, and then it got really cold, like just terrible riding weather. I mean, it's probably not that bad, but like you start riding in the cold, and I don't have heated grips on this bike, so like your hands start getting numb and you can't feel anything. It's just miserable. So finally back to normal Florida weather, so we'll do some more riding. And I think I want to take this out to Cars and Coffee, so stay tuned for that. That'll be a lot of fun. There's a really cool Cars and Coffee that they hold here in Desertland Park, which is the old Festival Bay Mall, and there's a lot of really cool cars. Hopefully they'll let me in with the bike, but there's also a really good coffee. So, and if you're in the Central Florida area, I think it's let me check. I'll put the date here, but it's in Central Florida area, Cars and Coffee. I'll be there. So if you want to stop by, enjoy the coffee, enjoy the cars, I'll be there.